You're listening to episode 81 of Financial Confidence. You're listening to episode 81 of Financial Confidence. Hey, and thank you so much for joining us for Financial Confidence. I hope your week has been great thus far, and we truly appreciate you for joining us for this episode. If you haven't joined or subscribed to this podcast, make sure you go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. Go to bit.ly/podcastfc. That's bit.ly podcast FC. We thank you so much for tuning in this episode, guys. Well, we're going to be talking about the big lie of money management. Yes, sir. But before we get into that, our guiding principle of the show is Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Guys, yes, that's our guiding principle, but you also know that we also believe that the borrower is servant to the lender here at Financial Confidence. So we definitely ask that you pray over your finances so you can do what you're called to do. That's to build generational wealth and leave an inheritance for the children's children. So if you will, bow with me. Lord, help us to value things in this world that's really valuable. That's our relationship with you, our lives, and our families. Help make us responsible stewards of our financial resources, and let us trust your holy word. In eternal glory, in thy son Jesus, in his name, we pray. Amen. All right, guys, let's get to it. Get your pen and your paper because this is going to be a great episode where you need to follow through on some things to be consistent so that you don't fall into this, what most people do. Most people don't have a plan for their money. So there's some big lies of money management that we want to tackle today that are essentially going to help you as you progress in making your money, keeping your money, and growing your money. I'm Lynn Demmons, your host of Financial Confidence. That's Confidence. That's Demmons, no demons here, DEMMONS. And if you will, go ahead and follow me over on Instagram at Demmons Speak. Same for Twitter and Facebook. But as we move forward, guys, here we're talking about the big lie of money management. And the number one thing here is if you don't have a budget, when you plan to fail, right? When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Let me say that correctly first and foremost. So what we'll be dealing with, guys, is the who, what, why, when of money on this podcast. And as we deal with the different who, what, when, why of money, let's essentially look at the who and the when. And essentially, this is why the most financial planners that I've worked with or financial advisors, they use this example of life being essentially in 4 quarters when it comes to your money, being able to manage your money so that you'll have enough money to retire comfortably and also be able to do those things that you're called to do. So essentially, the first quarter of life begins when everyone finishes college or when everyone finishes school. And for most people, that's typically around the age of 25. And each of these quarters, for the sake of this conversation, are going to be in 10-year increments. So the first quarter of your life is when you're from 25 to age 35. That's typically when most people are starting out in their careers or actually finding and landing that career or that job that they would like to have, or they are interested in starting on this career track so that they can begin to build and start putting those monies away for investing. The second quarter of life typically happens between the age of 35 and 45. This is typically when you've hit your sweet spot. On average, most people are either married at this time or decided that they won't get married, and they have their children, typically have your home and your picket fence at this time during the second quarter of your life. But all of a sudden, we hit this bump in the road called halftime or the midlife crisis, right? Many people or most people have some semblance of a midlife crisis. Some are more severe than others when it comes to your finances and your money. So maneuvering through that and trying to figure things out is where the rubber meets the road for a lot of people at their time at this time of their lives. Typically, the next quarter is age 46 to 55. That's the third quarter of your life. And at this quarter of your life is typically, hopefully, if you're in the same job or you're in that same career, you've hit that sweet spot where you're making the type of salary that you want to make and that you're consistently saving, investing, and doing those things that you needed to do in order to move forward, to build the generational wealth. And then, of course, the fourth quarter is ages 56 to 65. This is the time that's 10 years within your retirement if you plan to retire at the traditional age. But this is the fourth quarter where most people who have done those things or who had a plan as far as their money management or as far as their retirement have put something in place. Right now, they're starting to think differently, starting to think more strategically about, okay, what is the amount that I will have in retirement that is going to be the best fit or the best case scenario for the type of lifestyle that I want to live. And then, of course, there's overtime. And overtime is for those people who need to continue working because they simply didn't put a plan in place at 25 or at 35 so that they will have the money saved so that they can now start to think strategically or think differently about what their life will look like in retirement, because wealth essentially is measured in time. For the most part, there are simple steps that people have taken over time that have allowed them to amass wealth. So if you're looking at this and being strategic, you have those things in place. Now you're able to get to that point. So that was the who and the when of money. So now let's talk about this big lie of money management. Because most people, truth be told, most people don't have a budget. Most people don't have a budget that they look at every month that is going to help ensure that they're staying on track for their financial goals. Whatever those goals and priorities are for you financially, in order to be able to get there, you need a budget, but it's not that simple. It's not that simple. So there are different things that you have to be accustomed of doing and doing those things consistently in order for this to work. So what are some of the things that those big lies of money management? First of all, there's the media. Oftentimes we allow our emotions and the media to influence behaviors around money, because we tend to remember the losses and the pains of the last economic downturn, or the time that we lost a job, or the time the friend of the family whose husband died, and whatever the situation may be, we connect those losses and pain. So when we hear this influential information from the media, we stop doing what we need to do, right? We stop investing the way that we need to. We stop saving the way that we need to. We get off track as far as our finances because we're now not focused on what those priorities are. And this is a huge lie of money management. If you continue to listen to the media and what those media influencers are saying about the sky is falling, right? We hear that. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. You better get your money out of the stock market. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. You need to amass, get your monies outside of those banks because the bank system is going to collapse. Your money needs to be in gold. Your money needs to be here and it needs to be there. We hear all of these different things, and it's really difficult for the average person, the lay person, to put aside those emotions if you haven't been strategic in the process as far as your money management is concerned. See, that's one of the big lies that I want to help you to get over today, or to overcome in your finances. Truth be told, is slow and steady wins the race. Continue to remember the story of the tortoise and the hare. And if you recall the story of the tortoise and the hare from when you were kids, The tortoise, he just kept on going slowly, slowly throughout the race, no matter what happened. The hare, he took off so quickly. He looked back, he saw that he was so far ahead, and he decided to take a nap, right? And in many cases, when we hear the media, we hear these influences of media share these stories about the sky is falling. So we do like the tortoise. We take a nap. We begin to sleep on our money management processes. We don't go back and look at those budgets and prioritize what we need to be doing at each of these different phases of our lives in each of the different quarters. We stop, right? We pull our monies out of the markets, or you stop doing those things that you know are going to be helpful to help you build generational wealth and be able to leave an inheritance for your children's children. Because we're allowing all of the noise, the outside noise that's taking you off your game, the outside noise that's keeping you from doing those things that you know you need to do in order to get to where you want to get. And we also allow the inner noise. We have inner noise too. We have an inner noise or an inner story that tells us that, well, you know what? I don't want to live like I'm broke. I don't want to live like I'm poor. Then what is the definition of that? And what are you doing differently to come out of that, right? Because oftentimes we'll say, well, if I manage my money, then I can't live the way that I want to live. Who says that you can't? Because truth be told, it only takes a few tweaks and turns and for you to actually look at what it is and have a goal in mind. Because if you're working towards nothing, anything will do. So what are you working toward in your finances? And how are you going to get past these lies of money management? How are you going to set yourself up in this financial life? Well, no matter what quarter you're in your life, there's still something that you can do as long as you're on this side and you're breathing on this side. So you don't always have to be the slave to the lender. That's one of the big lies of money management. Ask yourself a different question. What is it truly that I'm focused on? And what I'm focused on, is that truly going to make me happy? And is that truly going to allow me to align with the will of God and what it is that I am called to do here on this earth? See, once we prioritize and strategize and understand and recognize that when we are in alignment with our purpose and what it is that we're truly called to do, because each of us has a gift. What is your gift? Are you using your gift appropriately? Or are you putting it under the bush and hiding it? What are you doing with your gift? So as we continue to talk about this lie, right, this big lie of money management, we're looking solely at past performance. We're looking solely at what's happened to me before when I tried to do this, or what happened before when I invested, or what happened before when I tried to get out of debt. See, oftentimes when what happens is we have a lack of clarity around what it is that we want to be able to do. And that lack of clarity results in the fact that you don't have a plan, a true plan, right, for financial abundance. And once you have a true plan that allows you to manage your money better, then there's an opportunity now for you to start looking beyond your past performance with your money. Looking beyond the past performance of the money stories that your family may have taught you, or those stories that you have shared and learned yourself because of the different decisions that you have made in the past that have now put you on this path that you really don't want to be on, truth be told. Who wants to truly be in debt? Who wants to be under financial stress? Who wants to be in overwhelm? And who wants to continue down the path of financial self-sabotage? Says no one ever, right? I've never heard anyone say that I want to be financially stressed. But in order to overcome that, we have to get past this big lie of money management. And that big lie is simply that I really don't have to have a budget. I really don't have to have a plan for my money. I really can just go out here and do this. I really can afford it if I can make the monthly payment. See, all of those are entangled with that lie of money management. Truth be told, there's simply a lack of discipline. Yeah, I said it. There's a lack of discipline. You're trying to figure out what it is that you want to do without truly having a plan. No one gets on the road and says, I am going to Ontario, Canada, without first knowing where Ontario, Canada is. See, we got to begin with the end in mind. And by beginning with the end in mind, that simply means, what is it at the end of the day that I want to have? Whether it's 5 years, 10 years down the road, what is the goal you have for, working with your children? What is it that you want at the end of the road? Once you can see the end of the road, and then you can start to back map, right? Come backwards to now. Build that plan backwards to now so that you now have a strategy that's going to say, these are the things that I need to do. And it doesn't stop with just building a strategy. Then you have to revisit that on a yearly basis, a quarterly basis, a monthly basis, weekly, and even daily in most cases. Revisiting that strategy, revisiting that plan, making it like clockwork for you so that you are now managing your monies more appropriately so you can do what you're called to do. That's to build generational wealth and leave an inheritance for your children. For your children's children. Let me say that correctly. To build generational wealth and to leave an inheritance for our children's children. That's what we're called to do. So are you living the lie of money management? If so, there are certain things that you can now put in place. First of all, identify what that goal is. You need clarity around the goal. What is it that you want at the end of the day? Most people don't know. They don't know what they want, but identify what that is. You either don't know what you want or you don't want it badly enough. So identify what that one thing is for you when it comes to your money management. Identify what that one thing is that's going to be able to pull you out from being the slave to the lender. Identify what that one bill is that you need to pay off. Identify what that retirement goal is for you if that's what you're working on. Identify what that college fund should look like for your child if that's what it is for you. Identify that one thing for you. You have to start somewhere. Start somewhere. Begin now. Start today. Figure out what it takes. One of the number one things and the easiest thing that I was able to do was actually start out with finding that $100 a month. And it's really simple to find $100 a month if we really look down at the bare bones of everything that we have going on. That $100 a month can be in your cable bill. That $100 a month can be in your Starbucks coffee runs that you make, or that out with the friends on Friday. Yes, don't act like you've been saved all your life, right? Going out to have your drinks on the weekends. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's okay to drink, just don't get drunk. But what are the things that you're doing now that you can find your $100? They call it the latte factor. Where's your $100 a month that you can now be setting aside so that you can save, so that you can invest, so that you can do some things differently? Because ultimately it's about consistency with money management. It's about discipline. It's about doing this year in, year out, month in, month out, week in, week out, day in, day out. Do you have a goal? Do you have a plan to manage your money so you can build generational wealth? I'm Lynn Demons, America's #1 financial rebound coach. Yeah, I said it, America's #1. We thank you so much for tuning in to Financial Confidence here at WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network. go over to WYTV7.org, leave a donation so we can continue to take the message to the masses that you don't have to live this lie of money management. You don't have to be the slave to the lender. Thank you so much, guys. Go check us out and follow us. Follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm at Demons Speak. That's Demons, no demons here. DEMMONS. I'll see you guys next week, same time, same station.